So today we're on a webinar, obviously, Smile Your Way to Inner Peace. Hope you're all in the right place. I'm sure you are. And for those of you, if this is the first time that we're meeting, my name is Kim Knight, and I'm known as the Kiwi Health Detective because I do root cause analysis in terms of helping people identify the root cause of their unhappiness or their illness. And today what we're going to be doing is going through what is the inner smile, how do emotions affect the internal organs, the benefits of the inner smile, and how I helped myself heal myself from chronic fatigue and depression using this technique. And then I'm going to guide you through a short taster of the inner smile meditation. And then I'm going to share an opportunity where you can learn the full technique. And I'll get straight into then, what does the inner smile do? And in a nutshell, what the inner smile does is it dissolves toxic negative emotions from inside the body and the internal organs in order to improve our health and well-being. Why is this important? Why is it important to dissolve and clear toxic negative emotions from the body? Well, our internal organs are responsible for keeping us alive. If we didn't have a heart, a liver, kidneys, small intestine, large intestine, lungs, etc., we wouldn't be alive. Now, obviously, some people, they do have some of these organs taken out, so people can live with, maybe one kidney, they can have some of their large intestine taken out, but then, life really changes when that happens. But essentially, there are some organs that we can't do without. We can't do without a heart. We can't do without a liver. We can do without a limb, but we cannot do without these organs. And the reality is that emotional energy, negative emotional energy, gets stored up inside the body, and it literally gets stored inside the organs and actually in every cell of the body. And emotions affect the functioning of those organs. So it's really important that we keep these organs not just physically clean, but emotionally clean. And the interesting thing is, if we have emotions stuck in the organs, then that is going to affect the physical functioning of the organs. So it's not just physical toxins that affect our organs, it's emotional toxins. So for myself, having experienced the consequences of not having good health, I know the importance of having good health. I was ill for 10 years, and fundamentally the main reason I got ill was because I had a whole heap of stored emotions inside my body, and I had no idea they were there. And all I knew was that I was depressed and I had chronic fatigue. But underneath all of that was a whole heap of emotions. So I absolutely know for myself, but also from having worked now with hundreds of people, that clearing emotions from inside the body is absolutely essential for happiness and for health. And if we look a little deeper, well, okay, what's the importance of having my health? Well, of course, if we don't have our health or we don't feel happy, then we simply can't enjoy our life. Sometimes we can get to the point where we're so ill and so debilitated that we can't even function properly in our life. Maybe we can't work anymore, or maybe it's affecting our relationships, or maybe it is affecting our job if we are working. So emotions affect every part of our life. And I don't know if you've noticed, but you could be out walking one day and it's a beautiful sunny day, and yet you feel absolutely crap inside. And another day you could be walking along and again it's a beautiful sunny day and you feel wonderful inside. Now, most people tend to think that the reason they feel happy is because it's a lovely sunny day, and there's no doubt that that will probably affect how we feel. But essentially, fundamentally, the reason we feel either good inside or not good inside is because of how we're feeling inside. In other words, it's not really to do with the outside. We think it is, but actually it's not, which is why you could have a beautiful sunny day, and depending on how you're feeling inside, you will either feel great or you will feel crap. And so what I love doing for, well, teaching other people to do, but also obviously doing it for myself, is having a set of tools to clear away that crap so I can get back to my good feeling again. So I love giving people medication-free, side effect-free, supplement-free solutions to manage their health, because we have this ability internally through our mind and our emotions to be happy and to be healthy and to be able to manage our health. And the problem is that most people have not been given the user manual for their mind and body. I certainly wasn't. I just thought, well, you go to a doctor. That's what I was brought up thinking. I had no idea that there was, if I was unhappy, there was a reason for it. If I was ill, there was a reason for it, and that I could work out what that reason was and I could clear it myself. So I like to see people being the happiest version of themselves and the healthiest version of themselves, so that they can live the life that they want to live. And that is essentially what we're here to do. But we can't do that if we're unhappy or ill. And in a bigger vision, the work that I do is really about uplifting the consciousness of humanity in the arena of health and well-being. We have what we call what I call an old medical paradigm, which is starting to die out, but it's still quite there. And the old medical paradigm is, well, you have surgery or you use medication, you go to a doctor, you don't ask why you're ill, symptoms are random, and I have no power to change everything. That is what I call the old paradigm. The new paradigm that is coming in and has been coming in for some years now is there is reason for being ill or unhappy or unhealthy, and actually I have much more power inside me to change me from the inside out than anybody has ever told me. So this is the information that I love to share and to give people, because it's empowering and it's satisfying, and it leads us to create a completely different life. So that is why I do what I do. And I've studied this topic of emotions in depth, and it all started back in 2000 when I really learned the connection between emotions and illness. And so this particular technique that we're talking about today, I used it over a period of 10 years. I put 7 years here, but it was actually over a period of 10 years. If I was to add up the number of days I did it, altogether, it was a total of about 7 years. And I used to get up in the morning and I would sit down and I would do this meditation. And I was doing some other practices as well that went along with it. But after that time, I totally transformed my ability to feel my emotions, to transform emotions, to not be afraid of emotions, and essentially to work towards becoming what I would call emotionally masterful. And that was never the plan. The plan was that I just wanted to get well, and I was sick of being depressed. And depression is the depressing of emotions. So I had to do a lot of work to clear my emotions in order to stop the depression. And also the chronic fatigue, it was not a lack of energy, but a blocking of energy, and specifically a blocking of emotional energy. So again, I had to do a lot of work to clear emotional toxins from my body. And you see, when we have these negative emotions inside of us, like anger, fear, frustration, sadness, grief, etc., and they're stuck inside the organs, they do create toxic substances and they do have the toxic effect on the organs, and that's why we need to clear them. And you're going to experience this this shift of chemistry inside of you when I take you through the guided meditation. So I've really focused for the past 17 years, and even before that, but it really was, in-depth study of emotions from 2000, really doing a lot of different trainings in how to identify and process and clear emotional energy from the body. And it is a topic that I really love and I love to share. So basically, I get up in the morning because I love creating and sharing life-changing tools and strategies with people so that they can uplift their life. So what is the inner smile? Where did it come from? And I'm going to talk about the 3 types of smiles. So what I call this is ancient wisdom for a modern world. And this information has been passed down for centuries in China. And this is where it originated. Literally thousands of years, this knowledge has been around, and it is being taught from teacher to student to teacher to student and passed down orally for thousands of years. And in fact, these teachings were secret until about the 1960s and 70s. Right? So it was only in about the 60s and the 70s that this information started to come out into the world at large and to the Western world. This Taoist tradition, they see and understand that positive and negative emotions are associated with the internal organs, and that the key to good health is to become aware of these emotional energies inside the organs, and then to know how to transform that negative emotional energy into what they call positive virtues. So we could say they're positive emotions, but they actually call them positive virtues. And these virtues are things like love, gentleness, kindness, respect, honesty, fairness, justice, righteousness, peace, all the good stuff that we want to feel inside. Now, one of the really interesting things that I learned, and I didn't learn this straight away, I think it was a few years before somebody pointed this out, so I'm just going to point it out straight away because for me it was quite a light bulb moment, was that these positive virtues and energies are already inside of us. They come inbuilt. So the question is, well, why don't I experience them? Why aren't I experiencing more joy and love and peace and harmony and balance and kindness and all that sort of stuff? You know, why is it that I feel grumpy and angry and sad and resentful and fearful and all that sort of stuff? And the analogy I like to give is that if you have a clear blue sky and the sun, actually that is how the sky normally is. But if you have a load of clouds in the way and you're down on the ground and you've got the cloud layer above you, above that is the blue sky and the sunshine. And so when you go up in a plane, it's quite clear because you'll take off on a cloudy day and you'll go up through the clouds and then you'll see the blue sky and the sunshine. So the point here is that the sun and the blue sky is always there. These positive virtues, this positive energy is already inside of you. And if you're not experiencing it, it's because this other stuff, the clouds of the negative emotions, are in the way. So our job is to move away those clouds. And I used to think when I first started practicing this technique that somehow I had to create this energy, this joy, this love, this peace and all that sort of stuff. I thought, I've got to go and find it somewhere. You know, I've got to find it from outside somewhere. And actually, no, it's already inside us. And our job is to clear away what's in the way. And that will be a mixture, from my experience, I found it's a mixture of negative emotions. It's also our patterning, our patterns of consciousness, our patterns of how we think, our habitual thoughts, our old traumas, and it's also stress. Stress, if we're stuck in the stress response, that is going to prevent us really tuning into all this good feeling stuff. So unfortunately, as we grow up and we have the daily stresses of life and we have all the things that happen to us and the traumas and the dramas and, you know, everything that happens to us, we have responses inside of us and we have these innate automatic responses of feeling afraid, feeling angry, feeling upset, feeling disappointed, betrayed, whatever those responses and experiences are, they build up inside of us if we don't know how to clear them in the moment they happen. And most people don't, because we're not taught that. We're not taught in school how to deal with your emotions. Hopefully in the future that will come. So all this fear, anger, feelings of cruelty, impatience, worry, sadness, grief, they build up inside. And the thing with emotions and emotional energy is that emotions are a form of energy, and the law of physics is that energy cannot be destroyed, but it can be transformed. So water can turn into ice or steam, but it won't just disappear. And this is really important to understand. Once emotion is triggered inside of you, and this is happening literally from the moment we're born, if that emotional energy is not cleared or dissipated or transformed, it literally stays in the body, and it stays in the cells, and it gathers in the organs, and it builds up and builds up and builds up. And initially we might not notice anything, but over time we're going to start to feel less and less happy. If you look at little kids running around, they're usually a lot happier than adults, running around. So this energy builds up, and after a while, if we have too much of this energy all built up, then we may start to experience anxiety, we may start to experience depression, which is the unconscious depressing of this emotional energy, and eventually we may experience symptoms of illness. So these negative emotions really do have a detrimental effect on the internal organs, our cells, our tissues, and our glands. And they also drain our life force. It's very tiring holding negative emotional energy inside. Even if we don't know we're doing it, it's actually very draining. And this undermines our health. And so it's so important to know how to clear emotions. Now, there are many different emotional clearing techniques, but the thing that I like about this technique is that it's a self-help technique that you can use, and the more you use it, the more powerful it gets, and the easier it gets, and the quicker it gets. So it is a very self-empowering, satisfying exercise to learn. And the person who is responsible for bringing this technique to the West was a Qigong master called Master Mangchak Chia, who I studied with for several years. And so this technique teaches you to dissolve this toxic energy from inside the body. Now, if we look at some of the effects of toxic emotions, if we have the sadness, the grief, the anger, the frustration, whatever the emotions are, and you know what that is for you, because we are made of qi, which is energy, this energy stuck inside us blocks the other energy from flowing. So if you imagine that you have rivers of energy inside of you, which is basically what acupuncture teaches, when you see these acupuncture diagrams of these meridians or rivers of energy, when we block energy inside our body and we store emotional energy inside our body, and then we have this different emotional energy stored in different organs, literally these rivers get blocked and dammed up, which means that there's maybe a trickle where there should be a river, or no energy is getting through at all, or sometimes maybe too much energy is going in another direction. And so it really distorts the flow of energy inside our body. And according to Chinese medicine, our health, or our good health, resides on needing this energy to flow properly in the body in these meridians. Now, as I said, my journey with the Inner Smile was to practice this technique for many years, and it totally transformed my ability to clear negative emotional energy from the body. So I want to go through, just before we get into the practice, I want to go through some of the benefits of this meditation. So emotionally, it's going to clear, purify negative emotions. It's going to reduce worry, fear, doubt, and negative emotions. and that will result in us feeling emotionally happier. And it will also stop the emotional roller coasters. So if you're the sort of person where, you know, from one day to the next, you never know how you're going to feel, and you're going up and down, and one day you're happy and the next day you're angry and sad and angry and whatever it is, it starts to smooth this out, because there just isn't the intensity of emotional energy going on inside the body anymore. And obviously then it also, once we start clearing this negative emotional energy out, we get more in touch with the virtuous energy that's already inside of us that I spoke about before. And ultimately we become what I call emotionally masterful. So to be emotionally masterful is to be able to identify how one is feeling at any given moment and know how to clear that energy within seconds or minutes. That would be one of my definitions of being emotionally masterful. Now, actually what happens is we even come to a further stage of this at some point where we're virtually not having emotional responses inside the body. That doesn't mean that we don't feel, and that we don't feel things like happiness and joy and all that sort of stuff. It means that we're just not having those negative emotional responses to things that we used to have. So things can happen outside of us in our environment or in our world, or someone will say something to you, or something will happen that in the past would have upset you or made you feel angry or made you feel sad. And actually that response is not there anymore. So we can actually get to this, what I call a higher evolved level of not responding at all in the same way emotionally. And I say this from personal experience. And I've had a very deep, intense experience of feeling extremely just non-affected by anything, and it went on for about 3 months, and it was a very, very deep internal experience that comes as a result of doing these sort of practices for a long period of time. And after that 3 months, it sort of wore off, but I knew what it was like to not be affected by anything externally, and also to feel an incredible sense of joy which came from the inside. It had nothing to do with anything external. And ever since that experience, I also never went back to how I used to experience emotions before. So, you know, the difference between my emotional state now compared to 15, 20 years ago is just chalk and cheese. And the more we do these practices, the more that changes and just gets better. So from a mind perspective, what this meditation does is it stops what we call the monkey mind. So the monkey mind is the mind which just never shuts up. And you may notice that, you know, you may sit down to meditate and your mind's just going, or you may lie down to sleep and your mind is just going. So it helps to stop and calm this monkey mind. And one of the reasons it does this is it gives the monkey mind something to do. Often we can sit down to meditate, and there are many different meditation techniques, but if we just say watching the breath or doing abdominal breathing, or, you know, not really giving our mind something to do, then it tends to wander off and keep going. So it stops this monkey mind, and it also brings a deep sense of inner peace. It reduces stress because it turns off the stress response and it turns on the relaxation response. It helps us to sleep better. It helps us to stop worrying, which in turn increases trust, because they go together. If we're worrying, we don't have enough trust. It helps to clear anxiety, which is this overwhelm of emotions, and the depression, which is the depressing of emotions. And it helps to delete old negative programming and patterning in our mind and consciousness. Physically, it's going to contribute to detoxifying the internal organs, because as we clear out this emotional energy from the organs, it's literally going to have a positive knock-on effect physically as well. It's going to, as I said, switch on the relaxation and self-healing response. It's going to help clear symptoms of illness, which are the result of the emotional backlog. And then it's also going to help prevent illness as well. And it also is very helpful in balancing hormones, because if we're clearing all these emotional toxins out, it's going to have a positive knock-on effect on our hormonal system. And it's going to switch on more of the good feeling hormones like serotonin. And from the Taoist perspective, they say that if you do this, you're going to help you prolong your life. It increases longevity. So if we look at some of the individual organs and how they can be helped, so for example, for the liver, and this is just a very short list, by the way, one could write a whole book really on the benefits of the inner smile. So for example, the liver could normalize cholesterol, improve liver gallbladder function. And for the heart, it can normalize blood pressure and reduce the risk of heart disease. And for the lungs, it can help with breathing problems and remove toxins. And the kidneys, it can help detoxify and balance the pH. And for the stomach, for example, it can prevent ulcers, because worrying is what leads to ulcers, and bloating or digestive issues. Now, that's just a smattering, really, of the benefits. Ultimately, there are just so many benefits, you know, literally you would have to write a book. And energy-wise, it helps to strengthen what we call the Wei Qi, which is protective Qi in the body, and that relates to the immune system. And it helps to seal the aura, which is the energetic boundary around the body, and it helps to transform energy at a quantum level. So it's working at a very fundamental level. So a quantum level or a Qi level in the body is the smallest unit of matter of a physical body, and it's working right down at that level. So that's like smaller than a cell, smaller than a molecule. It's down at a quantum level, which if we get to a quantum, to get to a quantum level, we magnify a cell 1,000,000 times and we get down to a quantum level. And it also, I didn't put it in here, but it also increases our energy, because we're clearing away this old energy that we don't want, which automatically increases the good energy and our healthy energy. And spiritually, we're going to get more in touch with ourselves, and we're going to get in touch with our intuition, and we're going to evolve our consciousness. It's a natural side benefit, if you like, of doing this technique, that we get more in touch with our intuition, we evolve our consciousness, and we experience a greater connection with life, and what some people call a oneness feeling with life. And we get to understand ourselves and master ourselves at a greater level. And this is just to introduce you to what is called the 5-element cycle, which is a cycle of 5 elements of nature which are within our body and in nature in general. And what we have to remember as a human being is that we are a microcosm of the macrocosm. And I don't know if I said that the right way around, I always get it the wrong way around, but we are a miniature version of the universe, if you like. So this 5 elemental cycle we see in nature, and we see it in the seasons, you know, summer, late summer, spring, winter, autumn. So, you know, humans tend to forget that we are part of nature, and that we need to harmonize, or, I mean, nature does it automatically. Nature knows how to stay in harmony, and it's man that mucks it up. And we've been mucking it up for the planet, and we've been mucking it up for ourselves. But this type of technique teaches us how to rebalance our inner nature and our inner country and our inner kingdom, so we can actually see ourselves as a kingdom with citizens and an emperor, and the emperor in Chinese medicine is the heart. And so we have the ability to rule our kingdom wisely. So what we're going to do today now is a taste of the inner smile, and I'm going to be focusing on 2 organs. I'm going to be focusing on the heart and the liver. So we're just going to do a little bit of theory first, because that helps to do the practice. And by the way, when we're learning these techniques, this is really important, is to have both theory and practice. And it's like having 2 legs. if we're trying to walk on one leg, that's pretty difficult, but if we have both legs to walk on, then it's much easier. So whenever we learn something like this, we need to have the theory which underpins the practice, but unless we have the practice, the theory is meaningless, because an ounce of practice is worth a ton of theory. So the negative emotions that tend to affect the heart are disrespect, impatience, intolerance, hatred, judgment, those sort of things. And when our heart is feeling good and is clear, then we're going to experience love, joy, respect, including self-respect, humility, compassion. And when our liver is out of balance and being affected by toxins, it's going to be affected by, in particular, by anger, frustration, and resentment. And the interesting thing about the liver is that the liver is the organ that physically is designed to manage and clear toxins, and the most toxic toxins that go into our body. And it's the same emotionally, because every organ and tissue in the body has what we call a metaphysical function as well as a physical function. It doesn't just have a physical function, it has a metaphysical job as well. So the liver deals with the most toxic emotions, which are things like anger and frustration. And I don't know if you've noticed, and the more in tune you get with emotions and the more adept you get at clearing emotions, you're going to find that when you do experience what's on the left-hand column here, you're going to feel a different taste in your mouth. You're going to feel differently emotionally, obviously, inside your body. There's a complete shift inside the body when we are either experiencing these emotions, like in the moment, or afterwards, you know, as a knock-on effect. And it's not good physically, mentally, or emotionally, or spiritually. It is just not good. But when we start to experience more of the other side, and for the liver, we're going to experience what we say is unlimited generosity and kindness. We're going to experience more of that. Just internally, we're going to experience more of that and want to give more of that. But it's very hard to give and to be generous and kind when we have all this stuck anger and frustration and resentment inside of us. So we're going to be doing a meditation that is basically focusing just on these two organs. So what I'd like you to invite you to do is to close your eyes, be sitting comfortably, and you can do this lying if you want, or you can do it sitting. And just to close your eyes and just come inside and really start to slow down. And first of all, I'm just going to guide you through a bit of a relaxation, and then we will start to do some of the inner smile. And what I'd like you to do is to notice how you're feeling right now before we start, so that you can compare at the end. So I'd like you just to notice how you're feeling physically, mentally, and emotionally. Just take a snapshot. And I'd like you just to slightly breathe deeper in your abdomen. And bring your attention out of your head and down below your neck, down into your abdomen. And as you breathe in, you expand your abdomen outwards. You expand your belly out. And when you exhale, you just let everything go. And just allow the shoulders to drop. bringing your attention internally. And the Taoists say that we need to bring our attention internally at least once a day. Because when we have our attention externally, looking outside, listening, talking, we drain our energy and we use up the energy in our energy bank. And in order to manage our energy reserves, we need to do internal practices or inner sizes. So it's not just exercise we need to do inner size. So for this meditation, you're going to put your tongue on the roof of your mouth, and it stays there throughout the meditation. And this helps to seal the energy flow in the body. And another really important thing in this meditation is that you turn the corners of your mouth up into a smile. Even if it feels forced or strange, you turn the corners of your mouth up into a smile. And what this does is it starts to turn on the parasympathetic self-healing response in the body just by doing that. So you're sitting comfortably, the tongue is on the roof of your mouth, and the corners of your mouth are turned up into a smile. And just notice how your body responds just from doing that. Just from coming inside, bringing your attention inside, closing the senses, and turning the corners of your mouth up into a smile. And then between your mid-eyebrow point, so in other words, literally between your eyebrows and slightly inwards into your head, I want you to build a small sphere which is made of golden yellow energy. You're building a sphere of golden yellow light behind your mid-eyebrow. And you're going to fill it with golden yellow, loving, warm, sunshine energy. And if you need help doing that, imagine a place in nature which you love and connect with that feeling. And create your sphere of loving, golden yellow, smiling energy in the center of your forehead. It's very bright. It's yellow or golden yellow. And you're filling it with golden yellow, smiling, loving, warm energy. And it's becoming brighter and brighter and fuller. And then that energy is going to start to trickle down through the palate of your mouth, down through your tongue, which is touching your palate, down to fill your tongue. And then you're going to imagine that your tongue is rolling back down inside your heart. You roll your tongue back down inside your heart. And this golden, liquid, loving, warm energy follows down to your heart. It flows down from this sphere of golden liquid light in your forehead. It flows down to your heart. You smile down to your heart, remembering to keep the corners of your mouth curled up into a smile and the tongue on the roof of your mouth. And you see or feel or sense that golden yellow liquid energy flowing down through your tongue down into the heart, smiling to your heart. And you fill your heart with golden yellow smiling energy. And notice what that feels like. You smile to your heart and you thank your heart for everything that it does for you. Every second of every day, pumping away, keeping you alive. You meet your heart, you thank your heart, sending it smiling, loving energy, bright golden yellow energy, filling your heart. And as you smile to your heart, you feel your heart smiling back to you. And you feel that connection. And notice what that feels like. And now you're going to go seeking in your heart for any areas of impatience, intolerance, judgment towards others, judgment towards yourself, hatred towards others or yourself. And if you find any of those energies, you're just going to smile to them. You're going to send them love. There's no judgment. Just going to smile to those energies and embrace them, filling them with golden yellow smiling energy. Loving those parts in your heart. Starting to watch those energies dissolve away as you smile to them and send them love. And accept them without judgment. And remember to breathe from the abdomen. Keep breathing consciously. Smiling to your heart. And now make contact with the joy, the love, the respect, the humility that is already and has always been in your heart. Connect with those energies, those virtues. Connect and strengthen those virtuous energies by smiling to them. And now bring your attention back up to your golden yellow sphere in your forehead. And if necessary, refill with more golden yellow smiling energy. And now you're going to send that smiling energy down into your liver. You're going to flow it down into your liver, which is under your right ribs. And just smile down into your liver, filling it with golden, yellow, smiling, loving energy. Remembering to keep the corners of your mouth turned up into a smile. The tongue is on the roof of your mouth. And you smile into your liver, filling it with golden yellow, smiling energy. And as you smile to your liver, you feel it smiling back to you. And you feel the connection. And thank your liver for all the work that it does every second of every day. And you don't have to think about anything. It just does it for you. And it doesn't ask anything of you. Thank your liver for the hundreds and thousands of chemical reactions that are going on every day. Take the time to thank your liver for everything that it does for you, filling it with golden yellow, smiling, loving energy. And notice how your liver responds. Notice how it responds when you treat it with kindness. Does it soften? Notice how your liver responds. And then you're going to go into your liver and look around for any anger or frustration that's hiding in your liver. And if you find any, you're going to smile to it. You're going to send it warm, loving, golden yellow, smiling energy. You're going to smile to that anger and frustration, to fill it with love. And notice how it responds. And then you're going to notice, where is the kindness and the generosity in my liver? And connect with it. Connect with the innate kindness and unlimited generosity that is available in your liver. And notice what it feels like to tap into that. And fill that area with golden yellow, smiling energy. Remembering to keep the corners of your mouth turned up into a smile, and the tongue is on the roof of your mouth. And just notice any changes in your liver, in your heart, physically, energetically, emotionally. Since we started doing this meditation a few minutes ago, notice any changes in your overall state. And then bring your attention again up to behind your mid-eyebrow, in your forehead, just reconnecting with that sphere of gold and yellow liquid smiling energy. And then shower that energy down through your body to every cell, filling every cell with gold and yellow smiling energy. And then put your hands palm over your navel. And for women, it's right hand first. For men, it's left hand first. And just move your hands anti-clockwise 9 times in a small circle, and then 9 times in the other direction. And just take note of any change from before starting this meditation to now. Notice any internal changes. And then when you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes. So what I'd love to hear is what you experienced, whether it's good or maybe even sometimes could be uncomfortable sometimes for the first time. Just love to hear your feedback in the chat box. So somebody said, when I close my eyes, I can't picture anything, so I can't picture the yellow sphere. I just see grey and no color. How can I change this to see pictures and colors? So one thing that's really important is to, first of all, is to whatever we experience is to accept that rather than resist it, because we just get frustrated and disappointed if we resist. So the first thing is to just accept and acknowledge the truth of what is, and to just be aware that this may be your experience this time, but that doesn't mean that next time it won't be different. And also, we all have different sense styles, and this is called VAK, so visual or auditory or sensory, kinesthetic, which is sensory. And so sometimes if we're not a visual person, if we're maybe more auditory or more kinesthetic, we may sense things, rather than seeing things, we may sense something or we may hear something. So you can play around yourself with, okay, well, can I somehow imagine this yellow sphere in a different way? And you will need to experiment with that. But overall, what I would say is that this is a meditation that is not designed to be used just once and boof, we get it. As I said, I practiced this meditation for 7 years, just about every day, or for a period of 10 years. But if I was to add it up, it would have been 7 years every day. And what I found was that it was different every time. Yes, there were elements that were the same, but it was different every time. And every time I did it, and the more I did it, I experienced different things, and I experienced knowledge and information from inside of me that nobody could have given outside of me. And this is what this meditation is about. It's about self-development and transformation. And the way that the Taoist teachers used to teach was that they would teach a student a technique, and then they would say to that student, go away and practice that technique for a year and then come back and see me. And essentially, you know, this strategy is actually still being used today, and it's what my Qigong teacher does. We learn something and then we're meant to go away and practice it for a year, because it's only through the practice that we actually get to experience whatever it is that we're going to experience, and that experience is going to be different for each person. So I would say try it again and again and again and again and again, and eventually at some point, you know, and hopefully in the not, you know, sooner rather than later, something is going to happen. And go away and experiment with, you know, how can I imagine creating a yellow sphere inside of me? And, you know, if you want to get a picture of the sun and look at it before you start meditating, or and it doesn't absolutely have to be a golden yellow sphere, but it is good to start with that, because for most people it's what works. We can just think of a good feeling of, you know, something that makes us happy. Don't usually recommend people, because people can come and go and have moods, but, you know, nature. Just, you know, where do you feel good in nature, and tap into that feeling as well. So I hope that helps answer that a bit. So got feedback, I feel peaceful, I feel relaxed, I feel calm and happy and lighter. I enjoyed that, but I noticed sadness when moving the sphere to my heart, and not when I moved it to my liver. A feeling of overall ease and softness though. Yeah, so the thing is, sadness is connected with the lungs, which we didn't do today, and the lungs sit around the heart, and sadness and hurt and disappointment, you know, they can be quite intertwined. So it just means that you tapped into some sadness that was inside your chest, and it's just saying, hey, I'm here and I'd like to be cleared. So another person says, great, wow, very calming. When I connected with the organs, I noticed I had a huge smile on my face, and when I sent love to negative energies, I had tears in my eyes. Yeah, so this is going to happen, is that we're going to feel a lot of love and a lot of compassion and a lot of self-healing and a lot of things when we do this meditation. And I cannot overemphasize enough that when we practice day after day after day, and it's meant to be done once a day, and after a while, you know, initially we may take, you know, 30 minutes, but then you know, we can do it in 15 minutes. It doesn't take long. It's like there's going to be this internal experience that I cannot put into words for you, because you have to experience it for yourself, and it will be different each time. And I had such amazing experiences when I used to do this meditation. And by the way, the reason that I don't do it anymore was because I outgrew the need to do it. And I don't mean that arrogantly. I didn't ever think that I would stop doing that meditation. And then I just got to this point after this 10-year period of like, I don't need this anymore. So we're going to have these amazing experiences internally that we can't foresee. We're going to have such deep insight into ourselves about, oh wow, I understand this about myself, and I understand now why I do this, or why you know, this emotion it affects this organ. And it's all this deep internal lessons that we get, that we only get through doing the practice. Peaceful, but with the motion of the hands in the anti-clockwise, clockwise. What point is the top of the clock? Above the navel or beneath the navel? So basically, the hands go palm over palm, and the center of the palm is over the navel, if that makes sense. The tongue up and down, very lightful. Do I put the tongue up or down, root or roof? So the tongue stays up on the roof of the palate. That's where it stays. And the reason for this is that we have an energy meridian in our body. We have many meridians, but we have a major energy river, if you like, that comes up the front and down the back. And this is actually the first meridian that is formed in the baby forming in the uterus, the embryo. And it's called the microcosmic orbit. And this meridian starts on the palate, and it finishes under the bottom of the tongue. So there's this gap, right? So when we use our tongue to connect up the top of the palate, we join up this full circle of this energy flow. So that's why we put the tongue there. So keep putting any questions in here, and I'm just going to share for any of you that want to know more about this and want to know how to do it fully and learn the full experience. Basically, what you get to learn is to go through all the different organs and learn the different seasons and temperatures and emotions, but the positive, you know, to grow the positive virtues, to clear the negative virtues out, to go through this 5-element cycle, which is 10 major organs, or they're called the major organs and the minor organs, because they go in pairs, and to go through all of that. So you're going to learn to clear emotions, you know, anger, fear, worry, doubt, frustration, etc., to increase feelings of well-being and increase all the positive virtues, to clear toxins, to clear anxiety, stress, depression, to help clear symptoms of illness, which are the result of stored emotions, to clear symptoms of chronic fatigue and pain. And by the way, I'm not saying necessarily that only doing this is going to be the only answer that you need if you are chronically ill. That would be really irresponsible of me to say that. What I am saying is that this is an incredible tool to help do this and to help work towards this. But just to be clear that this is a tool and you may need more than one tool. And as a result of doing this practice, well, you're going to reduce these emotional roller coasters. You won't be afraid to feel your feelings. Now, this is huge. So many people are afraid to feel their feelings, and we don't even realize that we're afraid of feeling our feelings. And that's because this emotional suppression stuff happens very early on in childhood, when we don't feel physically or emotionally safe in our environment. So what happens with this meditation is that because you have this tool to be able to go in and just excavate out any type of emotion, we don't have to be afraid of feeling our feelings anymore, which means we don't keep suppressing them. And so we don't keep feeling all the bad feelings, and we don't get ill. Because the thing with feelings is that the reason they feel bad is because we're resisting them. So when we feel bad, it's not because we're not processing the emotions, it's because we're resisting feeling or dealing with our emotions. So you'll no longer be afraid to deal with emotions, and you'll have a step-by-step strategy for clearing them in a very paint-by-numbers, step-by-step way. One can get rid of emotions literally in minutes rather than walk around for days or weeks or months with a whole load of emotions stuck inside. And for me, one of the major things that I was experiencing, as I said, it was two things. It was depression and it was chronic fatigue. And both of that was a result of suppressing and storing emotions. And I would sit myself down if I suddenly felt that depression was coming on, or I got depressed, or I had a bout of fatigue. I would sit myself down and I would do this process, and it was amazing how it cleared emotions in minutes, sometimes even seconds, but you know, mainly just minutes, say 20 minutes, and I could be feeling completely different. It is absolutely transformational and effective and efficient in clearing negative emotions. So as a result of that, we don't have to feel grumpy, because grumpy is a sign of holding in anger and resentment and frustration, and so is sulkiness. And I used to be a really grumpy, sulky person, and I had no idea it was because I was holding all this frustration and upset and disappointment, etc. inside. We don't have to get sarcastic, because sarcasm is actually a sign that we have some frustration or resentment or whatever still held inside of us. We don't have to get angry. We don't have to take it out on the dog or shout at our computer or argue with our partner or our friends or whatever. We don't have to keep getting upset. Just all of this starts to go. Obviously, as I said before, we get rid of anxiety, which is an overwhelm of emotions. We can get rid of depression, which means we're going to be able to think clearer and have more mental focus and more room for creativity. And obviously we're going to, you know, get healthier and happier and experience more of the good stuff like the calm and the joy and the peace. So what you will learn on this course is how to identify and label negative emotions, the main types of emotions that we need to be aware of, that we need to clear, and how to clear them, exactly where they sit inside the body, which organs they relate to. And we've done a couple of organs today. The connection between the different organs and emotions, how to transform them and find the positive virtue, and they do go sort of in pairs, if you like. So for example, if people have worry on the one hand, it means there's not enough trust and openness on the other. So we need to develop more trust and openness to clear away the worry and the doubt. It also is really, really great in helping to turn on the body's de-stress response very, very quickly. So what happens is, as soon as you sit down to meditate, because it's like when we do a meditation, when we go back to do the next one, we can pick up from the previous one, if that makes sense. It's like the previous meditation is still stored energetically in our body, so we just pick up from the next one. And so very quickly we can go into a very calm state, and we can train ourselves to go into that state very quickly. And when we go into that state, what we're also doing is we're turning on the body's natural self-healing response. Now, in order to heal from illness, ideally and really fundamentally, we need to be in a very calm, natural state, because unless we are, our body can't really fully turn on its self-healing responses. So it is so important, if we are ill, we need to be able to take ourselves out of the stress state and into the relaxation state. So from medically, it's called from the sympathetic response to the parasympathetic response. And that is the body's natural self-healing response. And when we take ourselves into this self-healing response, our body naturally self-heals. Now, our body is designed to self-heal itself. So we know this in some respects. Like most people, if they cut their finger, then they know, you know, it's going to heal. We don't sit there and think, oh my God, that cut's never going to heal. We just know it's going to heal. And you know, for most people, unless you're a hemophiliac, that's going to happen. Or if we break an arm, when we have it put in a plaster cast, the plaster cast is holding the bones in place, but the body does the healing. So our body is designed to naturally self-heal. And the reason it doesn't do that is because there is stuff in the way that we need to clear out. There are lessons we need to learn, there are habits we need to change, and one of the things that we need to do is to clear out this negative energy out of our body. So this technique teaches you how to do that so that the body can do its job of healing itself. And you will learn this connection between nature, this 5 elemental cycle, and how it plays out inside you. Because this cycle of seasons and this natural rhythm of nature is inside us, because we are part of nature, but we've forgotten. We have got so out of touch with our own nature and with nature as a human race that is why people are becoming sick and the planet is sick. So we have to get back in touch with this nature and learn to follow what are called the laws of nature. So in this program there are a range of different meditations, and I'll show you inside in a second. So what this training includes is the full training, which is an online program with 24/7 access from any digital device, and you have lifetime access and any updates that go in. And actually over the next 3 or 4 months this program is being upgraded to a newer version. There's more videos going in, additional meditations going in. So that will all be included if you want to get it now. And it also has all the meditation files are downloadable, the audio files are downloadable, so obviously you don't have to listen online. You can just put them onto whatever you want and listen at any time. also what I'm doing tomorrow, if there's any Q&As over this, I'm doing a bonus call tomorrow at 9 o'clock, and I'll send an email out for that. And I may actually just have to put it on my Facebook page, because I'm not sure if I'll be able to get the email out to everyone, so check my Facebook page for that link. And I'm going to do a meditation tomorrow, the bonus call, which is bringing the senses inward to rest. And what we're going to be doing is bringing our outer senses inwards to what are called the parent organs. So every sense, like, you know, eyes, ears, nose, etc., they have a parent organ inside the body, and the Taoists say that at least once a day you need to bring your children to your parents to be disciplined. So that's what we're going to be doing tomorrow, plus any questions that you may have. And then as part of what I'm doing today, and this is only for today, if anybody signs up today, you will get a bonus live training in November. So the reason I put this in is the training itself is pre-recorded, but what I want people to do is to go away and practice for a month, and then we will come back together on a bonus training, and I will take people through a live guided meditation once you've been practicing, and look at any questions, because there will be questions, right? So it's a great time if you go away and practice first and then come back and ask the questions. So normally this whole package would be including the online training and the bonus trainings, and also I'm throwing in a bonus meditation, another meditation that I have, would be at just over $200. But right now I'm only charging the normal price for the program, which is, or the reduced price for the program actually, which is $49 US. And if anybody signs up right now before I end the webinar, which is probably going to go for another, say, 10 minutes, and I'll give the link in a moment, then you also get access to my Introduction to Emotional Mastery series. And that is a series which goes into depth talking about, you know, emotions, how emotions are created, what happens in childhood with our traumas. So it's an introduction to emotions from a different perspective, but it goes very, very well together with this program. So as I said, if you sign up for all of that now, then you get all of that, which is just over $250 worth for $49 US. And it won't be this price again, because once I upgrade the program, the price will also probably go up. And in fact, when I first started selling this program, it was $97, and I only reduced it because I want to upgrade it. And I just want to show you what the program looks like inside. So once you get inside the portal, this is how easy it is to navigate. You have modules, and here we are with the extra live trainings here. And then there's an overview and some welcome modules, and setting your compass and course intentions. And then we have a theory section, because it is really important to understand the theory of where are the organs and what are the emotions in each organ, and the temperature of the organs and the seasons of the organs and all that sort of stuff. And then there are several meditation tracks which will be added to over the next 3 or 4 months. And that is basically what it looks like, and you just click on one, for example. If I click on a lesson here, and it takes you to an audio track, and sometimes there will be a video, and there will be explanations, and there will be downloads of MP3s and PDFs, and that is as simple as it is to navigate. Now, just to show you these other couple of bonuses, there is the Introduction to Emotional Mastery, which is a 3-part series where you learn more about emotions, also about how we have 3 brains, how shocks and traumas affect our health, different organs, 4 brain relays, and emotional conflict themes. So it's a lot of additional information which marries very well with the SMILE program. And then also I'm going to add in my quick de-stress and calming meditation, which is a very nice calming meditation for helping to go to sleep. Whereas the inner smile meditation is not really meant to be, it's not designed to be putting us to sleep, although we might fall asleep if we do it in the evening, but it's designed more to be done in the morning, at the beginning of the day, to clear ourselves out, set ourselves up for a good day. Although we can do it at any time during the day. If we suddenly feel we're feeling sad, or we're feeling angry, or we're depressed, or we've got some fatigue come on, whatever it is, we just sit ourselves down at any point in the day and do the meditation. And that's what I did. And as I said, it only has to be 10, 15, 20 minutes that we're doing that.